Hey everybody, yes it is another Auto Trader video. We've done most expensive bike on Auto Trader, the bike with the most miles on Auto Trader. We've done the best 125 for £500, and this one I want to be more realistic, and I'm going to do the best 125 for £1,500 and pick the 125. If I had £1,500 in my hands and I had to buy a 125 and these are all the options that I had, I'm going to pick one of these as being the one that I would choose. But we normally have some fun along the way, seeing some of the people's descriptions and explanations for TLC, meaning top end rebuild probably. Okay, so as always, we will put in my PO box postcode. We are going to put a maximum price of £1,500. We're going to put a minimum of 1,000 just because that knocks out a lot of stuff. 125cc to 125, so we have 191 bikes to pick from. Let's go from highest first, price wise. Got a YZF, which is a Cat C. Okay, so I think they still show bikes as category C right off if it's been in its lifetime at some point, even if it's been put back on the road. We got a Kiwi, we got a Peugeot, Honda XL 125 Verado. Oh, we might have even found a contender already. Oh, sorry, it's not Verado, it's like Varado or something. I'm sorry. This is a 50cc scooter. Keep on trucking. Okay, so this bike is a massive 125, and it's actually a 125 that I would consider getting if I was to get 125 again, because it is huge and I'm a big chap. I believe it's got a 125cc V-twin. Didn't they have a V-twin? Yeah, there you go, there's the engine. It is a V-twin, so that must be, what, 62.5 cc's per cylinder? Yeah, back to the bike. It's done 24,000 miles, not a concern. 2007 is not even that old, really. Open to offers. Since receiving ownership 5+ years ago, I've installed a third-party exhaust and suspension. Past 3 MOTs have had the same mileage because of an electrical problem that resulted in a lot of components needing replacing. Only component that can be replaced was the sensor in the engine that feeds the data on the speedo and odometer. Due to spending a lot of time idle, there was some corrosion on parts of the frame beneath the radiator whilst it's being repaired, which has been repaired thoroughly. Okay. Rides beautifully and will come with a large top box, and pricing conservatively because of the unconfirmed mileage. Okay, so it might have done a lot more than 24,000 miles. Next MOT due the 9th of 2020. So yeah, it's got part service history, 2 owners, 15. That looks pretty okay. There's a dent in the exhaust, so that's been dropped most likely. In my experience, anyway, if an exhaust has got a dent in it, it's probably just fallen over. If it's got a dent with a directionalness in it or scratches in it, that means it's probably been crashed. If you see damage to bikes, it's like it's a bit like, you know, in crime scenes. If the blood drips, it makes a round mark where it drips straight down. But if it's like being flinged off someone's hand, it will have a directional spatter. Using the big words. Moco, Yamaha, Lexmoto. Some of these are new. Okay, I'm putting from 500 miles on, so we don't get the new bikes. Okay, so we got a 2016 YZF 125 here. It's 1,500 quid and it's a Cat C. That is not necessarily a bad thing. Remember, this bike is 4.5 grand new. And the fairings is something that writes these bikes off all the time because they're so expensive. It's something I've tried to explain to people, like, expensive bike, expensive parts, they get written off far easier, doesn't necessarily work out great, and depreciation doesn't necessarily work. Oh, I'm not going to get onto the depreciation. Let's have a look at this one. Because I know a lot of you would be looking at something like this and be like, well, is it okay? Well, number one, we have a horn pipe on it, which means this thing's being ragged around because someone just wants to. Trust me, they'll want to hear it. I know what people are like. Okay, so you've got some broken bracketry, some broken scratch fairing. What is that? What did they do to this cover? Is that dirt? Is that greasy hands? Or did someone paint this bike with like one layer of spray paint? That little bit looks like they sprayed this after it crashed. Tyres are pretty new. Everything looks reasonably clean. Back end doesn't look straight at all. I mean, look at the angle that the tail's coming off, and then the way the wheel's going. It might just be the way the picture's taken, but that looks a little off. Very low price as poor repairs have been carried out on the plastic fairings, and some fairings are still cracked. Full V5 present, performance exhaust, runs and rides, please, blah 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 blah. There's two ways of seeing this bike for me. This could be a gem. You know, you could buy it and you could sand back the fairings, have them resprayed, respray them yourself. As I've shown you, you can spray stuff yourself and not make a complete dog's dinner of it. If you're doing one flat colour as well, that you're then just going to, you know, clear coat, easy peasy. Is a project. You can probably pick up some aftermarket fairings, some cheap Chinese ones, although they're not always that good. The running gear of the bike is probably okay. I mean, obviously, I'd want to see a lot of things about this. I'd want to hear what the engine sounds like. I'd want to look at the oil. I'd want to check to see if it's got coolant in it. I just all these little things to see if someone's actually looked after it or not. Check the forks, see if it's taken a front end collision. This has the potential of being, 1,500 quid for the bike, £500 to do it up maybe. Even if you spent a bit more than that, you're still coming in under £2,000, and it might be a fantastic bike that will keep going forever and ever. Or it might be a complete lemon that they drove into the ground and then literally drove into the ground, and now it's like, well, it's worth 1,500 quid for the parts. This is exactly what I wanted to address. You see, that could look like a great idea, and it could be, but it might not. And it is always going to be a bit of a risk. And the 125cc market is an absolute nightmare because, no offence, most 17-year-olds are just starting out in their biking career. They don't know about bikes and stuff, and they tend to just fix things when they come up, when they realise they're a problem. And they might not necessarily think about doing maintenance and stuff like that, which means that you might buy a bike that was owned by a 17-year-old whose dad, or mum, or brother, or sister, or mate, or anyone, or even just self-taught, really knows how to look after a bike, or he just did the research, watched some videos, and he's like, yeah, I may need to make sure that I keep the oil regularly changed, keep the fluids filled, keep it, some anti-corrosion stuff on there, make sure everything's looked after nicely, clean, leave the chain, and you could have a really nice bike that will go on forever and ever, or you could have the exact same bike that's in the hands of someone who just doesn't look after it for a year, and it's like his life expectancy is doing that every day that person's riding it, the life expectancy of the bike. Honda CBF, no. Good, reliable A to B bike. I say that about Reno's CBF, it was a good, reliable A to B bike. Pain in the arse to work on, and the front end had absolutely no feedback whatsoever. But it was a good little bike. Higher Sung, there we go. Got there in the end. That looks pretty clean. That's the thing. That's what's going to get you. It looks pretty clean. And these have got a reputation for actually being alright bikes. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, close up, it's looking a little bit more. Wow, you see? Can you see that? This is why you got to be careful. Okay, you look from this picture, that looks like it could be brand new. That could be all clean. Very nice. Then you get a closer picture and you realise, no, it's not. It's peeling and corroded. I know this is the opposite side, but it's peeling, corroded, oxidised. That's a little corroded. There's a lot of dirt and corrosion or something on the swing arm. Not the end of the world, not the end of the world, but it's worth noting how pictures can hide things. What's the story? This is my learner legal that I have. This bike from new was pre-registered, although I've only had it a year. It had 0 miles from a bike has just recently been overhauled by a founder of the UK Higher Sung Owners Club that had a lot of parts, changed and upgraded a few, improved overall performance. It had full stainless steel, so blah 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 blah. Some of the paint in places, such as the pillion peg hangers, heel plate and end of swing arm, has flaked, but this is an easy fix. Oh, the easy fix! The easy fix of every single ad. It's just an easy fix. If it was an easy fix, you fix it, because it would increase the value of the bike. Why are you not doing it? Because it's not necessarily an easy fix and you can't be bothered to. Don't say it's an easy fix because it means I am being lazy. When people say, you know, oh, it's an easy fix, 5-minute job. Well, then take those 5 minutes before posting, yeah? They've said it's greatly... They're saying that the overhaul has greatly improved the running and stuff. They haven't said it's a good runner. But with a bit of a clean-up, that's a fair option. But I don't know. I don't know how well they hold their money, so I don't know how, like, reasonable that is. CBF, YBR, CBF. Oh, that's quite cool. Is it a Yamaha that had the massive tyre on it like that? I know the Vans did it as well, but there was another one that did it. I'm sure it was a Yamaha, and that tank looks more like the Yamaha, I think. I can't really remember. Massive rear tyres like that are kind of weird to ride with. But this could be a good bit of fun for green lanes and stuff, maybe. It's got MOT till December, genuine mileage, runs, no warranty applied, blah blah blah. Sold as seen, no warranty implied. Yeah, I mean that's another possibility. It's only 1,300 quid, and it actually looks in, you know, reasonable. But it's only 2016. It does make me concerned as to what's wrong with it, if it's got something wrong with it, and why is that? Look at that. Look how misted up that is. I once had a window in one of mine go. It turned funny, it went soft, and it like just disintegrated, and all the brake fluid came out the front. If I was to look at that bike, I'd want to hear it run. I'd want to feel it ride. If there wasn't any massive clanking noises, depending on if it's what the pricing's like comparatively, but I don't see any other ones here for the same money. I mean, it's obviously a much more unusual bike. Okay, so we're through all the pages. KTM Duke. Cheap project bike. What is wrong with it? Because it looks... it's got no chain on it. But that looks fairly clean. It's got a little scuff here, which means it's... and some scuffing here, which means it's been dropped. It's got no lever, or has that been cut? No, that's snapped. It's got 20,000 miles on it. From new one owner. Bike does start, run and ride, but there is some issues, hence the price. The main issues that are there is a leak from the front sprocket seal, slight twist on the bars or forks, engine light on, missing gear lever, battery and side stand switch. The clutch lever and left hand foot peg are broken and need a chain. This is a quick look over and can confirm these, but hasn't been through a workshop. It has good brakes. Okay, so they're being fairly genuine with this one. So basically, yeah, it looks like it's had a crash. It's fairly battered. The simple question I would do at this point would be like, okay, well, how much is it going to cost to replace all those parts to fix it? It's KTM. I don't think their parts are that cheap. Putting this thing back on the road would probably be extremely expensive. So yeah, this looks again like a nice thing you could do, but I wouldn't. So we've reached the end of the page. So what bike would I have? Oh, you see, if you want a reliable one, if you want something you can get a good deal on, it seems like the YBRs and the CBFs, there's so many of them that you should be able to do that. You'll be able to find one that's a good one. And though YBRs and CBFs, they do go on and on. They're not necessarily the best bikes in the world, but they do A to B great. My personal pick is the Varado. I would definitely have, I mean, yeah, it's got 24,000 miles on it, maybe more, maybe 40,000, who knows. So that would be a strong contender for me, but with the questionable miles and stuff, and it being a 2007, I probably would be pushing this down towards like a bit less than that. But then there's not many of them. There's only one here listed in this price range. So there you go, there's my conclusion. If you want just a bike to get you from A to B, you want it to be reliable, it's good. YBRs, CBFs, there's loads of them. Find a good one. The price is going to be not so high because there's so many of them. Yeah, that would seem like a logical conclusion. My personal pick would be that Honda XL125 Varado. Probably said it wrong again. And we've also talked about sort of the two sides of the cheap bike thing. Like you had that YZF, which was cheap because of what someone had done to it cosmetically and what it's going to cost to get it back on the road. And then you've got that KTM, which looks like it's more parts related because of a crash. So they've got a tweak in the bars. Could there be a problem with, like, a more serious problem with the forks? It might just need the clamps and the loosening off, let it all settle out, re-clamp it down, it'll be absolutely fine. You don't know until you look at it and you properly look into it. And obviously we haven't heard the engine or anything like that. I would love it if on these listings they would include a video of them starting the bike and just letting it run for a minute. Just let me hear it start, because if it's going, I'm not going to buy it. Anyway, if you found this video interesting or useful or entertaining or any of these things, hit that like button, maybe subscribe to my channel, make a suggestion of any sort of video you'd like to see me do. Like, this is obviously best 125 on Auto Trader for 1,500 quid. The reason I'm doing these sorts of videos is to try and give an idea to people who have not done this before as to the pitfalls and the problems and the things you need to look for. I really do think reading descriptions, looking for honest listings, there's little bits and pieces that you can pick up on that just make something seem more genuine, like having a little bits of paperwork and stuff like that. You can tell the dodgy ones a mile off, and they're the ones who will lie through their teeth to try and sell it to you, hoping that you won't notice so they can palm on that lemon to you. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters as ever. They went up the screen earlier on, and I will catch you all next time. Bye bye. If you enjoyed this video and the other content on the channel, please consider following the links in the description to show your support.